There are two types of basic pressure vessels. External pressure vessels experience stress induced by an external load. The internal compartment, in this instance, is either pressurized to a lesser extent or not loaded at all. An example of an externally pressurized vessel is a submarine underwater. The external pressure is supplied by the surrounding water. The submarine provides a stable internal atmospheric pressure environment for the crewmen. Internal pressure vessels, on the other hand, are loaded from the inside. Boilers, aerosol cans, and passenger airliners are examples of internally loaded vessels. I'm going to call an airliner cabin an internal pressure vessel, as the ground level atmospheric pressure within is far greater than the pressure at altitude on the outside. Other types of pressure vessels exist that use a combination of internal and external loading, but these are not discussed here. For this tutorial, we will look at a thick-walled, internally pressurized, closed cylindrical vessel. Let's look at an example. In this example, the vessel is a closed cylinder. The pressurized vessel experiences stress across the thickness of the wall. Yielding first occurs at the internal pressurized face. Yielding spreads through the wall thickness from the inside to the non-pressurized outer wall as pressure continues to rise. And it is at this point, when the entire wall thickness reaches yield, that failure occurs. Actually, that's not strictly true, but I'm going to explain that part as well later on in the tutorial. Stress acts in several directions. Axial or longitudinal stress acts along the length of the cylinder. Hoop stress occurs at the circumference of the cylinder, and radial stress is distributed across the wall thickness. Axial stress is generally lower than circumferential stress. Radial stress is sometimes ignored for thin-walled vessels, but here we are looking at a thick-walled vessel, so we must factor it in. And finally, by combining the three forces, we get the uniaxial stress. Okay, so let's try a problem. A question asks us to calculate the pressure at yield, limit, and the shape factor for an internally pressurized vessel. The internal radius is 100 millimeters. The external radius is 140 millimeters. The material is steel with a yield stress of 300 megapascals. As pressure is internal, first yield occurs at the internal cylindrical face in the radial direction. Okay, so first we need to establish some boundary conditions for both internal and external radii. Let's label the internal radius minus P, or negative pressure for now. The external pressure we can label 0, as we know the vessel is internally loaded only. Now we need to find the pressure at first yield, and this equation allows us to calculate the radial stress. We have two unknown constants for this equation. These are A and B. Variable A can be found by knowing the internal and external radii. A equals internal rad squared over outer rad squared minus internal rad squared. Solving this gives us A equaling 1.0417. Now we need variable B. B equals internal rad squared times outer rad squared over outer rad squared minus internal rad squared. So B equals 20416.7. So now we can go back and calculate the internal pressure for first yield. So stress in terms of pressure for the internal radius is minus 1p. We're going to do a conversion shortly, but for now let's say -1 represents -300 megapascals. So this means yielding is occurring at the inner wall. Okay, next let's look for circumferential stress at the internal radius for first yield. This is a similar equation, but this time we add constant A instead of deducting it. It seems that much more stress is occurring in this direction, but we need to consider yielding is only just occurring at the internal wall, and we need a final stress type to work out the uniaxial combination for this all to make sense. So let's next get the axial stress for first yield. By taking radial stress plus circumferential stress times 0.5, we find axial stress in terms of pressure. Let's plug in the values, and this gives us 1.0417 p. There are a couple of ways to work out the combined uniaxial stress. We can use either Tresca or von Mises methods. Tresca is quicker to calculate, but von Mises is a little more accurate, and I'm going to show both methods for this tutorial. Tresca max stress at first yield is circumferential stress minus radial stress. And inputting the stress gives us a max stress in terms of pressure. So for first yield, here is the conversion. The internal yield pressure is yield stress over max stress, which is 300 over 4.083, which gives us 73.47. Okay, so uniaxial stress or pressure for first yield at the internal vessel wall is therefore 73.47 megapascals. Now for the von Mises method. The basic calculation involves all three stress types. Let's label the stresses. Expanding out and simplifying gives us a uniaxial stress of 3.5368. Now to convert to megapascals for the uniaxial stress for first yield. Again, we have yield stress over stress max and our inputs, and this reveals a uniaxial stress or internal pressure of 84.82 megapascals for first yield. Okay, so far we've worked out the uniaxial pressure or stress required to cause first yield at the internal radius of the vessel. Uniaxial stress was worked out using Tresca and von Mises methods. Now we can work out just how much stress can be applied before we reach the pressure limit for the design. Before, circumferential stress minus radial stress equaled max stress, and this gave us Tresca. At limit, this statement is true across the entire vessel wall thickness. This time, radial stress is calculated slightly differently. This time, yield ln radius at any given point in the wall plus constant c gives us radial stress. But in order to use this equation, we need to go back and remind ourselves of the boundary conditions. And this confirms the internal radius is under load, while the outside radius is under zero pressure. We can use outside pressure to work out the internal pressure, but first let's find constant c. Let's take the radial stress equation. Fill in the blanks. We're using external stress as we know pressure is zero. And finally, expand out to find constant c. Let's take the constants and rewrite the equation for internal radial stress. Here, our only unknown is stress. Let's fill in the missing radius and calculate internal stress. So at limit, the internal stress is 100.94 megapascals. Next, we need to know our cylindrical stress. So let's first find constant C. Remember, our initial statement for limit pressure stated when cylindrical stress minus radial stress equals yield, then we can say stress is uniform across the wall thickness, and therefore we have reached the limit. By plugging in our existing known constant for radial stress and reworking, we can use the equation to work out a C constant for circumferential stress, which in this case is 889.83. Let's go back to our circumferential stress equation. Plug in C. Note that we have switched from internal to external radius. We have done this as when the external circumferential stress reaches yield, we will know yielding has spread through the entire wall thickness. Expanding out gives us an external circumferential stress of 300 megapascals. And lastly, we need the axial stress. Plugging in our constants allows us to find axial stress constant C, which is 739.83. Plugging the data into our stress equation gives an axial stress of 150 megapascals at the outer wall at limit pressure. This is a good indicator as to why it is sometimes said a cylindrical pressure vessel will foul at the diameter wall rather than at either end. The axial stress is generally half of the circumferential stress at the pressure limit. For Tresca, our limit pressure was 100.94 megapascals, based on radial stress. We worked out axial and circumferential stresses in addition, but as stated before, von Mises is more accurate. And as we also looked into von Mises for pressure at first yield, I'm going to show how the method works here. For von Mises, circumferential minus radial stress equals 2 over square root of 3 times stress max. Stress max equals yield stress. So the result of circumferential minus radial stresses is 346.41 megapascals. What we are saying by stating this is, although yielding starts at 300 megapascals, and the vessel will deform as the entire wall thickness reaches yield, in reality the uniform stress across the wall will continue to climb before it reaches its absolute limit and failure actually occurs. So let's import this data into our stress equation to find radial stress. Then, as before, recap on the boundary conditions. Then find constant C from the outer pressure, which remains unchanged. And C equals 681.08. So we can now work out the internal stress. So inputting max stress and the constant, and adding the internal radius, we find an internal pressure or stress of negative 116.56 megapascals. Circumferential stress is next, but we need to work out another constant first. We can find this as we know both stress max and radial stress. And by using the first constant, we find 1027.49 for the circumferential. At pressure limit, circumferential stress is uniform across the wall. So first, let's set the stress equation, then input the constant, and this time the outer radius is used as stress has now reached the outer wall, and the stress at 346.41 megapascals is equal to stress max. And just to finish up, we can work out the axial stress at limit. As before, plugging in the other two known constants allows us to work out the axial constant of 854.29. Now let's take the constant and input this into the stress equation. Then find the axial stress of 173.21 megapascals. We should find at this stage that the axial stress is half of the stress max, or circumferential stress. To summarize, we started by knowing our internal and external wall radii and material yield stress, but we needed to find out the pressure for first yield and limit, and we also needed the shape factor. Pressure for first yield was 73.47 megapascals using Tresca. However, using a more comprehensive method, von Mises calculates stress reaching 84.82 megapascals for first yield. Stress rises to 100.94 megapascals for Tresca at pressure limit, rising to 116.56 megapascals for von Mises. The last thing we needed was the shape factor. This can be found by dividing limit by yield, and whichever method is used, this remains constant at 1.37. So there you have it, the stress equations using the Tresca and von Mises methods to find the pressure for first yield and the pressure for limit for a closed cylindrical pressure vessel.